Sec. Boom. Put my comments on. Got to make sure we go live on Instagram. All right, cool. We are live on Instagram. All right, we'll get started in just a sec. I see people starting to pop in. We'll get started in just a second. We'll only bring the comments back up. All right, here we go. What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Two Lost Office Hours. Today, I've been looking forward to this one because Chuck and I haven't actually talked in a minute. So sometimes I just use these office hours selfishly to catch up with my people and see what they've been up, see what's up, see what they've been up to. But we got my guy Chuck Dizzle in the building. Chuck, what's going on?
Dang, I was thinking, bro, like it's been almost 9 years since we first connected, bro. And I was just reflecting on like a lot of the opportunities you've thrown my way, a lot of like conversations we've had, man. And you said earlier when you posted it, you was like, man, one of the most solid cats in this industry, man. And I couldn't think of a better way to describe you, bro. And I appreciate you always lending a hand out, you know what I'm saying? However the conversation may be, you always try to like plug me with the right situation. So I just want to thank you first and foremost before we had this conversation, bro.
Man, the feeling is definitely mutual. I think when you've been in this game for a minute, you start to seek those people that, I think just are aligned in a similar way. Feel like, and don't get me wrong, it's not like Chuck and I have been best friends and I talk to him every single day, but I feel like there's a certain energy with people in this industry where you feel like there's an alignment of that energy, and you just see how they move. Obviously, we follow each other on social media and we see the type of things you do and your work ethic. So I just think we vibe on a few different levels. So the feeling is definitely mutual. But to kick this off, a lot of times when we have these conversations, I really just ask. So over the past week, I like to get a win. What's one of your wins from the past week? It don't have to be anything big. It don't have to be professional. It could be personal. We want to make sure that we, like I always say, build on small wins. What's one of your wins from this week, Chuck?
Yo, my second child, man, the little one. I don't want to call him the little hellraiser. I love my son, my second son Chase. I love him to death, but we actually have been he's 18 months now. We like started to introduce the concept of potty training. Okay. So he finally is starting to kind of get it. So like we just got a little potty at the house. We got one in two different bathrooms. So we got two at the house, and he's finally like telling us like when he has to go. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is a start. You know what I mean? He still needs the pull-ups and all that, but it's like I'll take that, one direction. I'm good with that.
No, we're gonna jump into, because I've noticed more recently you've been talking about like work-life balance and just kind of the importance of the the personal progression, the family commitment, and things like that. We'll talk about that, but let people know kind of who you are. Just give people a brief history of who you are and kind of what you're doing currently.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm a radio personality for iHeartMedia. Been here for what's crazy is now thinking about 9 years. So I've been with iHeart since 2015. A lot of people know me from Homegrown Radio, founder of that platform and that podcast. Me and my brother DJ Head, we kind of spotlight. We spotlight new artists, but at the same time, we bridge the gap between mainstream and underground. So it's a lot of like new voices that we like to talk to and kind of watch their journey as they started to where they are right now. And I guess the one of the key artists that we can kind of talk about that we've started or spotlighted from jump is Kendrick Lamar. And I think he's the perfect example of an artist where we've seen from jump, supported him from jump, and see him now like just pretty much be on top of the industry, man, and just continue to support in every way possible. Father, I mean, I'm all around. Just I'm a guy in this industry, man, just trying to make my way and again provide that balance. And something that you said earlier in terms of like just seeking out the right people, trying to be one of those right individuals, because we hear so many times about the industry and how it's filled with crooked and corrupt people. And I just want to I when it's all said and done, I want to be known for one of the right individuals. You know what I'm saying? And however that may be, provide my platform for that. You know what I mean? So a lot of times it's bigger than me. Just provide my platform for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now I mean, there's so many different ways we can take this conversation, but let's talk about, because one of the reasons I do have so much respect for you is because a lot of people kind of take a bite at the apple. Like sometimes people will be presented with an opportunity to progress forward, but they have to sacrifice a little bit of their integrity or a lot of their integrity to do so. You and DJ Head have been two cats that have been able to continue to navigate and make progress from my perspective without having to do that. Is that something that you're aware of? It's important to you, or like, what are some of the challenges you've had as you've progressed in this industry, to kind of make sure you stay on the right path?
I mean, I think it starts with not having opportunities in the beginning, right? And making sure that you're that vessel. So I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a perfect individual. There's been plenty of opportunities where I kind of feel like, you know, there's been a lot of times where, you meet with those opportunities that like, okay, do this, and you can succeed or excel in your career. Mainly, taking money, and that's something that me and Head are kind of like, we've rooted ourselves in, like, yo, that's just not our thing. No knock to anybody that does that, because you do have to make a living in this business, but just certain things that I like. For example, there are people who do interviews for money. It's not something I like. I particularly don't like doing it. And I've wrestled with the fact of, damn, should I charge to do that? Throughout the years, should I charge to do that? Is that something I want to do? Or reviewing music, should I charge to do that? I still wrestle with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I see a lot of people doing it, and I've, seen it throughout the years, and I see people making a business out of it. And, I've chosen not to do that. And I look at it like, damn, that's just one of those things. I'm like, man, I have to figure out a way that I can authentically do it my way. So in some cases, yeah, it's like, we're talking about immediate money and things of that nature. Like, I got a family to feed, so I miss out on opportunities like that. As a family man, some of the times it's like, oh yeah, before I got married, before I started having a family, it's like, yo, you have to be every single place at every single time in order to get these opportunities. You don't want to miss out on things. And I feel like that's something that I've rooted myself in for the past 20 years being in this business. It's like, I was the guy, and I'm still to a certain extent the guy of, I don't want to call out. I don't want to take a vacation. I don't want to miss out on the opportunity because somebody else could get that. But when you look at it, it's like, after a while, it's like, okay, but at what cost, And I had a clip recently, I was talking about that on a different podcast about, kind of having a conversation with my wife about that, like, and talking to her about, like, yo, you met me on my journey with this music stuff, with this industry, being in the radio. So if it boils down to it, I'm going to choose this as of right now. And, it helped a lot of opportunities. It helped me get to where I'm at right now. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Like, not calling out and not missing opportunities definitely allowed me to be visible in the presence of, like, my supervisors, my bosses, and just different people when I go to different events. Like, damn, Chuck is everywhere. Like, so there's positives to it, but at the same time, as I've kind of like, I realized that as of the last few years, my priorities have changed. Being married, having kids. I don't want to miss out on these moments. You know what I mean? And I talk to a lot of mentors of mine, people that I respect in this business, who I'm like, damn, I kind of align my career in that sense. And when I talk to them, they say, man, it's the one thing I wish I could do is have that time with the family. I wish I can change that. So yeah, there's been opportunities that I've been able to lift myself up with, as far as navigating throughout the business. Like, I've been looking at my career lately. I'm like, damn, I'm a radio personality, and for the world of radio, for people that don't know, typically the way it used to go, you would have to get an internship to get inside and work for a radio station, right? Take an internship, free opportunity, not get paid, work your way up in hopes that you get hired, right? And even then, we're in number 2 market, Los Angeles. A lot of people wouldn't get these jobs. Like, you would have to move to a smaller market and move your way up, especially if you want to be on air. So I look at myself, and I worked for 100.3 The Beat from 2004 to 2007. I worked for K-Day from like 2009, 8-ish, 2009, 8, 9, 10, and worked for iHeart from 2015 to now. That doesn't happen, you know. But the reason why I feel like is because I made myself available. I made sure I was showing up all the time. We were, you know, doing homegrown. We were consistent doing that show for so long, where I think that the visibility helped. So it's like on one end it helps, but at the same time, as I kind of progress and become a man now, and even more like family man, it's like, yeah, I can continue to do that, but at what cost? You know, so that's kind of where the balance that I'm at right now. Like, just honestly speaking, being transparent, that's where the balance that I'm having right now. And I'm choosing more of the family than the opportunities. And, you know, some things work out and some things don't, but it's still full circle because I feel fulfilled at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Looking at my little ones, I you know, when I'm at home and choosing not to go to an event because I want to make sure I'm with them, especially at this early stage in their life, like, I get fulfillment. Like, I didn't go to the pop-up show. You know what I mean? I was at home with my kids watching it on TV, and I still had a proud moment seeing my boy head on stage, and I'm getting texts left and right. Where you at? Where you at? You on stage? Like, nah, I'm at home, man. Like, I'm enjoying this moment, and this is amazing for the city. It's amazing for Kendrick. It's amazing for the West Coast, and more, you know, amazing for my boy Head to get that opportunity. But I'm not. I didn't feel bad to the point where I was like, oh, I should be there. So nah, this is an important moment. I'm here with my family. We having a good time in the living room, turning up. You know what I mean? So, you know,
I think it comes when you start a family, and it just comes as you get older in general. I don't want to leave the house. Like, I don't have any little ones in the house. I don't want to leave just because I don't feel like going nowhere. So, but I think you've put in, you know, so much work in your early days. You know, you talked about 9 years at iHeart, but then you talked about 20 years. I think, you know, the work that you guys have put in, I think needs to be talked about. Maybe that's even what we speak to now, because, like, to me, your journey and an artist journey, if you want to be successful, is probably similar, not in terms of exactly what you did, but in terms of the time and attention and just the effort that you guys put in to get where you're at now. You know, this you said 9 years at iHeart, but it didn't start 9 years ago. Where did it start? And what was that like?
So it started literally like I knew I wanted to do radio since I was 10, right? But to be honest, like, I didn't know I could make a career out of it until I was in high school. So that's where the journey really started for me. I you know, would listen to 92.3 The Beat. I would listen to Power 106. And then by the time I was able to, you know, apply for an internship, I submitted an application for both. You know, I walked my resume up to both stations, and it just so happened that The Beat was the one that called me back, you know. So that was when I was 19. It was literally my first or second year in college. So at the same time, I, you know, did college radio at the same time, you know, getting the internship. In order for me to get an internship at the radio station, so I'm sorry, I missed this part. I went to a business fair or a college fair and saw the radio station there. And they told me in order to get an internship, you have to be in school. So I was like, okay, I already plan on going to school anyway, but that gives me more incentive to go to college. So my second year in college, I did the internship, got in, you know, showed that I was in school. So that's where the journey really started, you know, college radio, and that internship with 100.3 The Beat in 2004.
So yeah, and you guys, I mean, you guys have put in a ton of work over the years. One of the things that we've talked about more recently on the Music Entrepreneur Club is just the group dynamic, like working with anybody, whether you consider yourselves a group or a partner, you know, and how important the communication is if you want to stick together for any decent amount of time, to even see if you guys can do this. You know, you and Head, I'm sure, you know, you guys are both evolved, have you know, matured as men, young men. Now you have families. Well, I don't think DJ, I don't think Head has a family yet, but you have a family. So that's a conversation in and of itself. Like, you know, you're going one way, you know, starting a family. Head is still, you know, doing his thing. How has that communication been over time? And I'm sure, you know, as cats get together, there's disagreements and things. Like, how do you guys manage that communication, so that you guys can stay cool for as long as you've been rocking with each other?
I think you said it, just communicate. You
Yeah.
know, I think that's the most important thing. We were having a conversation not too long ago. It's like, damn, out of the 15 years that we've known each other or been working with each other, we've known each other around 2005, 6, but we started working together like with Homegrown. I was at Long Beach State. He was at Cerritos College, and we had a mutual friend kind of tell us like, oh, you guys kind of do the same thing. Y'all should link up. So this is like 2007, 8ish, right? And we started the Homegrown out of my apartment in 2000, like early 2009. We from 2009, 8, 9 to 2024, we have never had an argument, never had a fight.
Mm.
We've had disagreements. We've had, oh man, you should be doing this, or hey man, no, like, you know, and I think we talked about this when I'll be sober, but 8 years now, right? This month, a couple of days. He
Nice.
pulled up on me and was like, yo, you got a problem, bro. Like, what are we gonna do about this? Had to look at myself in the mirror. We had that hard conversation. There's been times where, you know, I'll let him know, like, yo, you know, you have to balance how, not necessarily how you treat people, but at the same time, your packaging is off. So just be cognizant of that. You know what I mean? I know you have a pure heart. Had to give you the shirt off his back, but a lot of times people aren't presented with that image because of how brash he is, right?
Yeah.
So just me letting him, I think our dynamic of him seeing how, you know, I guess nice is like a better word, how nice I am and how my approach to people, even though it's not his, I think he sees it and is like, okay, I have to figure out a different approach so people can understand the message that I'm trying to get across. So,
Right.
you know, for lack of better words, it's like we balance each other out in that sense, you know. And you know, it's just that honest conversation, just being like literally communicating, flaming each other in the chat room, like going hard. You know what I mean? Like we literally have a group chat where they be going hard on my kid, they be going hard on my wife. My wife's in the group chat. Like it's one of those things where it's like we're just as honest. Like when he got the he's now wearing the glasses, right? I was like, yo, what them glasses you got? Them is the super frames. Ever since you got the glasses, it's taking your shit to a whole different level. So it's like we have those jokes and you know, even from health stuff, it's like, bro, yo, you got to eat right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's been on his health kick recently as well. So it's literally having those conversations and just making sure that, you know, we're up to speed on what in each other's lives.
Now, was that the person you were like when you guys started, like, or did you have to get better at communicating, or were you always a pretty good communicator?
I think I was better than he was, and I think I was better than he was, but it would be, for example, people would come over and they'll interview, they'll interview with us, or they'll just have a conversation with us, and they be like, hey, you're so mean. Why don't you be like Chuck? Like, I see what you're saying, but why don't you do that? And so I think over time, it was just, I think, and you would have to ask him. I don't know if he got tired of hearing it or just the message started to kind of become clear. I'm never going to change who you are. Like that. Right. That's just what I am. I'm never going to change who you are because I feel like it adds with the dynamic of what we have. And again, if I felt like he was a piece of shit, then I would tell him, hey man, like that wasn't right. You shouldn't do that. But I get what he's trying to say. And sometimes you have to shake people up with the message. So I you know, let him cook, let him do his thing. But I'm trying to think of anything off top there. I don't think there's anything that I think maybe at one point I reached out to him because he had a conversation with somebody, or he didn't have a conversation with somebody. Somebody was looking at his content, and when you look at his content, or you just people look at grind, get, do what you got to do. Not everybody's built like that, including myself. And I've had conversations. I'm like, yo, I'm not you, bro. I'm not the emotionless individual. Like I don't have that. You know what I mean? He's literally a robot. Like he doesn't really have feelings like that, but that's the individual that he is. And I think that's one of his superpowers. So it was a conversation where I was like, yo, I think you might want to reach out to so-and-so because they might misconstrue what you're saying. And he did. And I think that for him was like, damn, you think that was the case? Like I didn't say that. No, you didn't say it, but that's what the image comes across is like, you don't have feelings and you just this emotionless person. Right. But at the end of the day, you just don't showcase it as much. Right. So I think with those are the type of things that we have those conversations back and forth. I'm never going to change you, but I'm just making you aware like, hey man, think about this, you know.
Yeah.
And,
No. I mean, you guys have. I mean, especially on in a podcast situation or a radio situation. Like it's dope to have two people that are different. You want some of those because I feel like a lot of the radio personalities these days or podcasters they like they 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 kind of act. They put on the show. Head don't have to put on a show. He just is who he is. Because I've had many interactions with him, and it's just head is gonna be head. So that's dope. But so typically what happens is like when people start working together, whether it's a music group or a podcast or whatever, you know, that's not the only thing they do, right? Just like you in DJ Head, you guys do other things. Like, how do you maintain the commitment to the group though? Like, you're gonna get distracted. DJ Head's a DJ, so he's gonna be traveling and doing things. I've seen him on TV shows and stuff like that. How have you guys managed for that to not pull away from what you guys have going on or cause any friction?
well, I don't think it's friction, but it's natural growth, right? And if I see like, because we're low key kind of dealing with that right now. It's like when he left iHeart, we're literally not together every day. So
Yeah.
before, when we was together 6 days a week, it's easy to knock out the podcast, do this and that and the third, and kind of make that commitment for homegrown the podcast at that point. But as you know, since he left iHeart, that's been one of the biggest challenges. But it's like making time for what you can, and so in our situation, it's literally just letting not the division, but letting that growth take place. Like, he's off doing his thing, and I'm off with my family. And he's not gonna tell me, "Hey, Chuck, don't spend time with your family." And I'm not gonna say, "Hey, man, don't do the pop-up show." Like, it's that natural evolution. If we can't do it, we just can't do it. You know what I mean? And I think that is being okay with that. Sometimes you kind of hold on to shit, and that's where the frustration comes in. But I think when you have two natural progressions in life, you just let it happen. Like, and that's kind of where we're at right now. It's like, okay, well, when we can knock another podcast out, we're gonna do it. At first we had a schedule. Now we don't have a schedule in that sense. When we can knock them out, we can knock them out. But I don't hold any like grudge because of that, and I know he doesn't hold any grudge because of that. Like, it's just kind of what it is as of right now. But it has been a little challenging when we don't see each other as much. But I think it's just making sure that either we're committed to a certain time or day, and if it doesn't conflict with family, that doesn't conflict with other obligations, we'll knock it out and get it in. But it just hasn't been the case as of recently. So,
Yeah.
but it's not anything where it's like, well, damn, man, you're doing all that over there, man. You did with the family. It's like, no, this is a natural progression in life, and if it comes back around, great. If it doesn't, it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's just where that communication is just so important. I think whatever a group commits to, you just have to live up to those commitments. And if there are some outside commitments for an individual of that group that makes it so they can't meet the obligations of the group, then they need to have that conversation and figure out, do we need to lower the commitment? Okay, we used to meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but now I can't do Thursdays, but I can do Tuesdays. Is that okay? Is that okay with the group? Is that lowering that commitment?
Yeah.
So that's where that communication comes in, is so crucial, because I've seen so many. I've been a part of groups, obviously, that have disbanded just because the lack of communication at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Man, you've had so many artists that you've interviewed. You've seen so many artists kind of come and go. What are just some of the qualities of the people that have continued to progress in this industry? What are some of those qualities that you might be able to identify in a young person coming about, oh yeah, they're gonna make it because of X, Y, and Z?
The one thing, and this goes on the theme of communication, right? How they initially reach out to you is a big thing for me, right? When somebody wants, I'll just again frame it with radio, right? When somebody wants me to play their music or review their song or just take a listen to their music, the structure of the email, the structure of the intro DM, that is all important. If you just say, "Hey, yo, check me out, fire, fire, fire," where am I gonna go with that? You know what I mean? Who are you? How? What's not and not even follow up with a link. Just like yo, or yo, just yo. Typically a lot of the, emails, like when it's not structured, you just see, okay, this, and I don't want to knock it or judge it because it's like, not everybody may be as professional or whatever, but I've noticed that in most cases, when it's not set up professionally or the introduction doesn't come from a genuine place. And again, you don't have to have a whole press release write up and say, hey, yo, I met you where's the connection at? Yo, Chuck, I've been seeing you do your thing, bro. Man, I love this podcast episode of X, Y, and Z. Man, look, I'm an artist. I'm from Carson. Make that connection with me, right?
Yeah.
And figure a way. And I can see it even when people are doing it, and I can see it. But I appreciate that you're being genuine with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that introduction is very key a lot of the times, or even when I see people out and about, that conversation, just, are you just trying to get something from me right off the back, or are you trying to build with me? Build with individuals. There's plenty, there's a lot of, I've seen it on both ends where people, the first interaction they get, yo, play my song. I know, hey, can you, bro?
He probably got a phone call. I'm sure he'll pop right back in. Technical difficulties for a second. I'm sure he'll pop back in. And if you have a question, feel free to put it in the comments. I'm not sure wherever you're tuning in from, if you're on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter or LinkedIn, you can type your questions in the comments. We'll wait for Chuck to pop back in here so we can continue the conversation. While we do have this moment, if you haven't heard, we're starting a live event called Game from the Gods. That is up. Chuck's back. I'll give you the Game from the Gods update in a second. Anyway, you got a phone call? Is that what that was?
Yeah, man, I tried to put it on Do Not Disturb. My bad, bro. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
But again, the introduction is important. And a lot of times I've seen artists that, for example, I'm going to give you, I got to shout out my brother C5, right? He's an artist out here from Oakland. He interned with us in 2015, right? Interned with us. He went to Cal State Dominguez. Didn't tell us he was an artist. Had no idea. Dropped his mixtape. Didn't even tell us to listen to it. I found out through somebody else. I'm like, yo, you rap? Yeah. How come you say nothing? He's like, well, I'm just here to build. Like I'm from Oakland, I go to school at Dominguez, and I just like what you, love what you and Head are doing. I just want to be in the vicinity of dope people, and you guys are definitely holding it down. Like, and I just respected that so much because he could have easily used that opportunity to get his music showcased. You know what I mean? We would have looked out for him, but the fact that he didn't lead with that, it made me want to support. You know what I mean? And when I heard the music, it was quality. And now he's doing amazing things, and he's having a lot of success with his career and having viral moments. But it's because of that type of individual that he is. He leads with love. He leads with that genuine spirit. And I think that, it returns to him. In addition to the hard work and the dedication to all those things, that was around the same time we first got hired at Real 92.3. He submitted to be a part of the contest to open up for our very first Real show. Didn't even use us as an introduction or anything like that. He didn't use us to say, hey, I'm their intern. Can you check my music out? He won on his own. I found out he was opening up when they announced it. I'm like, yo, he's like, yeah, I didn't want to. And this is after he's interning. I'm like, why didn't you say anything? He's like, I just wanted to earn it. And so it's like, I respect individuals like that. And typically people like that, they become successful. That genuine nature, that genuine spirit, that hard work, it comes full circle for individuals like that. Kendrick Lamar, when we first met him, he was hype man for J-Rock. He was hype man for so long. Every time you would see Kendrick, he was, oh, that's J-Rock's homie. When he would go out and do tours and do different shows. I remember being in shows with Black Hippie when there was like 10 people there, but they gave it their all no matter what. They didn't care. They cared about the craft, right? And they remained consistent and they never outstepped their roles. So and you can obviously seeing the success of TDE and seeing the success of Kendrick Lamar, like there's just a couple of things that I've just kind of taken notice of over the years. It's like, build with people, And I hate to say the cliche, stay consistent and all that, but it's like all that stuff it really matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those people, I've seen so many artists come and go over the years, and the ones that have remained, consistent to their craft and themselves and bettered themselves over the years, those are the ones that get the opportunities and the looks.
Yeah. A lot of networking is about timing, man. I mean, there's people right now that, because I manage Big Jaw, and there's people right now that I would love to reach out to, right? But I know I know we don't have anything that could really get them excited right now. So we gotta wait. We gotta wait until we get to a certain level where it's like, okay, now we got this script, or now we just did this show that I think is gonna it's more likely for us to get a response than if I tried to reach out now. If I try to reach out now, I feel like I'm just trying to skip steps. There's actually a viral video exactly of this going around right now with Keenan Ivory Wayans. Keenan Ivory Wayans is like, he's giving a speech.
Richard Pryor.
Talking about not wanting to meet Richard Pryor until he got to a certain place, so that when he met him, he could say, look, this is what you did for me, because he looked up to Richard Pryor. So I'm assuming you saw the same video.
Man, fire.
Great clip. So yeah, I think a lot of times artists, they want to skip steps. So they're looking like, who can help me? Instead of just being patient, continuing to work, being consistent. And when the timing is right, you're much more likely to get a response, or a positive response, from who you're trying to reach out to. Because if you try to reach out right now, you're going to look like everybody else trying to reach out to him right now.
No, I think, I usually, kind of echo that same sentiment and tell people to bring value. But I think the timing is so important. Like the opportunity, and when it happens, when it's supposed to, when things are lined up, it's a way better opportunity. You've seen it. You've seen it happen. It's like, it works out in that sense. So I'm glad you brought that up. Timing is very important.
Yeah. I mean, it's tempting to reach out because you really want, I mean, I got a lot of people's numbers in my phone, but there's a lot of people I just haven't reached out to, because I just when I reach out, I want people to remember it. So you mentioned, obviously you guys, knew Kendrick for a very long time. What were some of the other things for him specifically where you were like, yeah, he's going to be big?
I think again, I would go off to those early shows, seeing them perform in front of, I've seen them perform in an empty crowd, or seeing them perform when the music is fucked up, and still managing to put on a show. It's no, hey man, DJ, what man, sound man, what's up with my nah, I'm a rock either way.
Yeah.
Not losing their cool. Treating people like, again, it goes off with character, right? Treating people with respect, man. Like when I met her, I mean, we both didn't have a pot to piss in, but it's like still treating somebody with respect. Like when I met him, it's like, I always trying to reach out to them, obviously, to get their music on or whatever, at the radio station. They all piled up in the van and popped up. It could have just been one person or whatever, or they could have Hollywooded me at the time, even though they were still like on their building tip. But it's just like they saw the opportunity, but wanted to build with some individuals as well. And even their press run, it's TDE affiliated, but obviously Kendrick as well. The No Sleep to NYC mixtape. The idea and the concept of like, we're gonna go outside of our norm. We're not just gonna take over LA. We don't want to just be local celebrities. We want to get the respect of New York. And we know, and this is at a time when West Coast music was just dry. Nobody. This is post Death Row. Nobody. This is even right before, kind of like in the midst of the blog era. So we don't even have like it's building at this point, right? So them earning the respect of their counterparts, and going out there to do that, it was like, damn, I respected that. Again, there's footage of Kendrick in the J-Rock van. The J-Rock van. You know, it's not about him.
Yeah.
I've seen there's footage out there of him um, opening up, and I want to say it was, I don't know if it was at the Key Club, but it was an event that I believe the radio station had put on. But Charles Hamilton was on stage, and he's like, "Yo, I just want to, just let the little homie rap." He goes off and does his thing, and even if you look at the clip, like everybody was like people were rocking with it, but they kind of like, "All right, yeah." Charles Hamilton was like, "Yeah, all right, give me the mic." Like, but he took that opportunity and showed up and showed out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's just those are the things you look at those characters, traits in somebody. And despite, I'm sure he's been told no multiple times. I'm sure he's been told his music was whack. I'm sure people didn't have an opportunity for him, but he never stopped. But yeah, I think just and the quality of music got better. And but even from jump, the attention to detail, I always notice that the attention to detail and like how he uses his his voice as his cadence. I was just like, even on like not section 80, the Kendrick Lamar EP, he was like, I forgot the line he said, but he was like, he says something, but the how he emphasized his words, he was like defeat, defeat. I was like, oh, like, okay, you really give a fuck about that. Like, and
Yeah.
most people probably wouldn't even care about that. And that's just, true artistry at its finest to me.
Yeah. I mean, you've been around artists, so I'm sure you've been presented opportunities to potentially like work with an artist, maybe in the form of a manager situation or a consultant or A&R or something like that. Has that ever been something that you've wanted to do or nah?
Not really. If I feel like if I could contribute something, then yes. But in a lot of times, it's like I'm most of the time I've been working with a radio station, so it's
Mhm.
like I don't want it to. I don't want to use that opportunity for people to be like, well, yeah, Chuck, yeah, he can be my A&R, but yeah, we're gonna get on the radio. Nah. I just
Mhm.
rather not have the two worlds. Same thing with like with the paying for interviews and stuff like that. I don't want people to even think that just because I like your song, I'm gonna play it on the radio because I don't have the power to do that. You know what I mean? A lot of times those lines can get blurred based off the relationship. So I've just tended not to even put myself in a situation. Now, people have me come to the studio, listen to their music. I'll just tell them my feedback, let them know. But I've never looked at it as a job opportunity. Just more of like, yo, here's my feedback. This is what I think to a certain capacity. Even when artists ask me, yo, can you? I don't want to manage you, bro. I got a lot to manage my own life. And then seeing people like you, and seeing people like Salas and what is required of a manager, I know I don't have those traits. I don't have it. I don't have it at all. A good manager is gonna literally put their lives on the back end to make sure that their client is taken care of, right? And I don't have that. I don't have that part in me to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, obviously we've seen in music where, there's like more influencers have become artists, right? And I think, well, it's more of a question, like, has that same thing happened in radio where people aren't taking the traditional steps or not putting in the years of experience, but maybe radios are allowing some people with followers to jump some steps and put them in seats that, you know, might have taken traditionally a lot more years to get to?
Yeah, but I look at it also as the industry is changing too. The audience is changing. What people are listening to is changing. So let's just say if somebody has a following now, if somebody has a following, but it makes sense with the station. For example, right? When Real first launched, and I'm not mistaken that when Real first launched, they had I think even before they brought DJs on or right around the same time, they had reached out and I believe they had Mustard guest DJ. They had all the celebrity DJs guest DJ. I think Khaled, and it was a good look for the optics, but I don't think it would have made sense to have them be a part of the station. Now I get it from the optics standpoint, but to have them, I don't think they weren't trying to be like radio personalities or anything like that. But I think that was just one attempt for them to say, okay, let's try to bring the worlds together and see how this works. didn't necessarily work out. And, they have commitments and things that they got going on, and, checking the mixes and all that. I don't think that was really the smartest thing to do. But in terms of like different personalities, I've seen it happen. And
well,
I don't know. I kind of go back and forth, because I feel like if it's needed and necessary, cool. But if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. But I haven't witnessed it within our station, at least, where it's like, oh, okay, this person is skipping a step. They put them on because they're X, Y, and Z. With our situation, they saw the work that we were putting in and was like, oh, this makes sense because they got the streets. You know what I mean? So, but a lot of people will perceive that as like, oh, well, you skip steps and they just put you on because of your brand. Well, yeah, our brand put that time in. Me and Head put time in. So I'm cautious on how I react, because although I might see somebody with a big following, we don't know the steps that they put in to get to where they were at. So, so if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. But sometimes, people, they might reach out because they feel like it can bring the audience in. And a lot of times it may or may not translate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So for anybody that's watching that may want to still do radio, become a radio personality, what are some of the things that they can do to get better, and what do they need to get better at, and how do they go about doing that?
So the difference now is that you can literally start on your own. So it kind of brings it back to that point, right? Stations and people, they're looking for the personality, and they're looking for somebody that has the audience and even the brand. So if you start today and just get better at conducting interviews, get better at whatever your thing is, if are you a music connoisseur? Are you somebody just loves announcing? Like, what's your thing? Start today and start building your own audience and start doing it, and not necessarily have to worry about becoming on radio, because it still is a competitive field, right? But it's more opportunity today than it's ever been before, because now you can literally create your own audience. There's podcasts doing numbers that probably radio isn't doing, you know what I mean? Or at least having the attention that's that case.
Yeah. I just lost my question. Because I think a lot of people think that, even with podcasts, everybody has a podcast these days. They turn on a podcast and you think you're just talking, but there's a skill set to this. Like, when you interview folks, are you critiquing yourself afterwards? Are you watching other people interview to see, like, if get some tips and tricks from them and their style? Like, how do you develop? You and Head obviously have been in this game for a minute, so just when you talk so fluidly with not as many non-words and pauses and things like that, I can tell you have a lot of experience doing this. But how do you guys practice, or how did you just get as fluid as you guys are?
Well, for me, it was just putting the time in, for one. Secondly, I always do like a radio demo, and always constantly air check myself. I hate doing it. And for a long time, I hadn't done it, because I, listening to some of my mentors, and I would always hear them, oh, yeah, we don't prep, we don't do this. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but that's just not for me. Like, I have to.
What is an air check?
An air check is a demo, right? So you go back and you listen to. So for an air check for somebody that wants to get on radio, you do mock breaks, you make up breaks and actually record yourself as if you were on the radio, right? Okay. So I tend to go back and listen to different breaks that I've already had on the air with different listeners, or different talk breaks or things of that nature, and just compile them and just see how I sound. If I played you my demo from 2008, it would make us both cringe. There's certain things that are similar, like my cadence is still the same. There's certain things, but so if I listen now to my air check back then, I hear me trying to sound like I'm on the radio right now. A lot of people give me that compliment. You sound like you're supposed to be on the radio, and I love that. But radio's now evolving to be more personality driven, where it's like, you don't have to sound like, hey, there's elements to that, right?
Yeah.
And I can kind of like balance balance both worlds. But before, if I go back and listen to it, I can hear, oh damn, you are really just trying so hard to have that announcer voice, that radio sound. So I think that's important. Going back and listening to it, or listen. Why I don't like watching my interviews, but sometimes I do, just to see the pacing of it. Like, okay, how could I have asked that question in 5 seconds versus 35 seconds? And that's one of the things that I do. I'm a listener at heart. And I try to have so many words when I ask the question, instead of just say, yo, Dame, how's your day? I'd be like, so Dame, man, I saw you on social media the other day and you were posting this and and I lead up to the question. So that's one of the things I try to get better at. It's like, yo, how do you just boom, get to the punchline, get to the punchline?
You just gave me some feedback in the moment, because I've probably done that 5 or 6 times just in the past 40 minutes.
Dude, I mean, but that's the thing that I love about it too, because we're having a conversation. So it's like, in a perfect conversation, you don't sound articulate the whole time. You say and it's like we have a conversation. Like, bro, like I say sometimes. So sometimes I'll catch it, sometimes I won't, And I think for me, it's just I've learned to have grace with it over the years. Before, I used to beat myself up, like, you gotta. Nah, man. That the biggest compliment that I get from people is that, man, you sound so personable. Your tone and your energy match what we hear and what we see. So it's like, okay, I can only get better. I can still build on that. There's things that I still want to work on. But I don't want to take away from that, because that's me,
Yeah. And there may not be a lot of people watching this that want to be radio personalities, but what I love is it goes back to what we talked about earlier, just that attention to detail. Like, if you want to be successful in anything, you have to really pay attention to the craft, and you have to have a lot of attention to the details. Those details matters in radio. It matters as artists. It matters as comedians. And I think a lot of people don't have the patience for the details. And they don't work on the little things. Even if you're a hooper, you're not working on the jab step. You're just going straight to playing. You're not working on anything.
I was gonna say, as I was telling you this today, I just realized that I'm celebrating my 20th year. As I was mentioning it earlier, I'm like, oh, got my first internship in 2004. Now, back then, it was like, okay, eyes wide open. I want to do this and this. Nah, it ain't gonna happen overnight, And I've had a relatively good career. Like, my story isn't the same as everybody else's. I didn't have to. With Head in his situation, his first opportunity was 2015 with iHeart, and he started with me. He wasn't on the radio. I'd already worked for a radio station. I was on my second one when me and him had met. So it's like, even with that though, I was always committed to, man, I want to be in this field. I want to get better at this. I want to showcase new talent. Like, I've always had that knack about myself when it came to that. And it was never, I have goals, like things that I want to do, but it was never of like, oh, if it doesn't happen by this, I'm just gonna pull the plug. For me, and I don't know if that's to my fault or whatever, but for me, I feel like it's worked out in the long run. And that's kind of how I still mold my career to this day. It's like, okay, I just want to get better at this. I love this, and I want to just be authentically me, and again, be that light for somebody else that's coming up, that's watching. Like, damn, I want to do radio, but I don't want to be a shock jock. You know what I mean? I want to get into this field, but I don't want to have the clips. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you have to work within this business, but you don't have to change who you are. And I hope that I'm, that comes across whenever I hit the airwaves or whenever I do interviews.
Yeah. So what does the next 3 years look like if you could just, snap your fingers? This is what I want it to look like. What are you working towards in the next 3 to 5 years?
Man, I really want to. I want to, as much as I love radio, I want to continue to progress in this field. And if that looks like a better time slot, if that looks like syndication, even more so, because I work in multiple markets right now. And so I'm working on getting either my show to be syndicated in multiple markets, like the Breakfast Club, and figure out how that's going to look, whether it be homegrown radio or whether it be my solo show, or just build a show that I can actually have in multiple markets and kind of treat in that sense. I still love this media outlet. So, building up the homegrown platform is always a thing of mine. We've, had some adjustments and moving things around and kind of like adjusting over the years, but, still providing that platform for newer artists and showcasing them throughout the years and watching them from, ground zero to, superstardom. So however I can just be in the mix and the fold of that, I feel like it's always going to add, it's always going to be that in the next 3 to 5 years. It's going to always kind of have that look. But I, just continue to be. I want to be an authority in this figure as well. Like when people can look at it and be like, okay, that's my mentor, and be able to kind of have my DNA over the next media, over those people that are coming up. So when you see like, oh man, okay, this radio personality or this, I'm saying podcaster or whoever's coming up in the media field, damn, they looked up to me. Okay, how can I provide opportunities for those that are coming up so that I leave this business with, in a better spot that I came in, you know what I mean? And that's just really, really my thing, man. Just figuring a way to kind of give back more, whether it's in the form of opportunities or just advice, but just making sure that my DNA is kind of over this. This field.
I tell young people all the time, like as we start to get older, like it's pretty easy to identify like the younger people that I think are really going to excel in the music industry, whether it's an artist or, a personality or an executive. Who are some of the younger folks that you've seen move, that you've been impressed by, that you think are going to be doing pretty well in the next 3 to 5 years? It could be influencers, it could be radio personalities, it could be artists, producers, just some of the young talent that you've been impressed by.
Well, I mean, you've already got one of them, right? With Nyla. Nyla Simone is amazing at what she does. And I remember when she first got in, when she first got into Power 105, like, and coming to LA, I saw it then. But I tell her all the time, every time I see her, I'm like, I'm so proud of you, man. Just keep it going. You're doing it your way. I love seeing you do this. In terms of there's another dude by the name of Jay Brock. He runs this platform called Clap It Up LA. Okay. And he's on his way up. He's doing his thing, and he puts on different panels throughout the city. And his thing is like, he wants to showcase people going through the struggle, right? Like he doesn't want, he wants to have that conversation with the artists, media personalities, DJs, creatives, whoever is going through that struggle. His thing is, what do you clap it up for? So he kind of showcases people's journey with that. And I think that I think he just did a panel the other week, and he's doing another one in February. So I love what he's building out with that. There's another young lady by the name of Tyler Kimani. She runs this platform called Eargasmic Media, where she's just on the field with showcasing new talent. There's another girl by the name of Ty. I call her Ty. She's everywhere, man. My girl Lupe Uranus. Like she's intentional with how she conducts interviews. She's very intentional with just being around and making sure she's providing that platform for people. And I'm just excited to see what she continues to do inside and outside of homegrown. Man, I can keep.
What about on the artist side? Who are you checking for? Because are you still doing music reviews every once in a while?
I haven't done it in a while. Ever since we moved, it's been kind of a little difficult, but I'm gonna get back to that. This dude named the homie Drebo, man. Drebo, he caught my attention a couple of years ago because he made a song for 365 days, right? Dropped a song, released a song every day for a year. And I've just constantly just seen his brand just kind of build and evolve over the years, just getting better with the music, and he's an artist and producer that I've been kind of paying attention to as of recently.
He dropped a song every day for the whole year.
And I think this was like 2 years ago. So I think he's thinking about running it back, but I've seen his brand kind of take off or evolve and just get better ever since. I've seen really his craft to the music get better. You know what I mean? He might not have had a viral hit.
If you're making a song a day, I mean, obviously not every one of those songs, probably very few of those songs are going to be like, going to take off, but like those are reps. Like you getting your reps in every single day. So you
And
have
that's
to
what I respected about it. I'm just like,
yeah.
ooh, that's fire that you were able to do that. You know what I mean? So I think he's thinking about bringing that back. But I mean, just even with that not being the case, he's just been dropping some dope music. Um, yeah, I mean, oh man, I think, bro, I found this little 14-year-old. Shouts out on me, Pookie Roo, man. He put me on this dude named Juice, this little kid named Juice, and the quality music that he makes I think he's 15 now, but at the time we were listening to him, he was 14. And I, had it on my live direct segment. I'm like, how are you 14 making music this good? How's it sounding this good? Who are you working with? And I'm just excited to see what he does in the next 5 to 6 years. And who he lines up with, or somebody that discovers him. I just think that I come across so many people, so a lot of times it kind of skips me, but those are the people I'm thinking about in the moment, man. It's just, there's a lot of talent out here. And I think that's what I love about what I do, being able to connect with people and either connect the dots, or again, play them on my show. Or man, bro, I'm thinking of somebody else right now. This dude named Mark Lux. He just dropped a song called Muse. His visuals are so on point, and the song is good. Like, he's dope. The homie Sham 1016. Sham, not only is his visuals good, but I like people that disrupt the industry or trying to disrupt it in their own way. He created his own event called Set Gala, right? Instead of Met Gala, he got me to come out dressed up to this event 2 years in a row. It's like, he's like, yo, we on some fly shit, just come out, pull up, we're gonna have a performance and all that, but it's just more about the ambiance. But he's creating his own little community. So like, when I see people like that do this at a very early stage in their career, I'm like, oh man, the world is yours. I just can't wait to see how it kind of continues to blossom.
Yeah. Nah, I'm gonna have to when you do your music reviews again, I'm gonna have to tap in and check out some of these newer artists. There's a lot of talent out there. I mean, obviously we have, we at this point we distribute over 300,000 artists and labels on this platform. So
Flex.
I'm constantly seeing like new art. I mean, there's just way too
It's a
many
lot.
artists.
It's a lot, bro. It's a lot.
So it's like, you're introduced to probably 5 or 6 new artists every single day. But yeah, no, there's a lot of talent out there. Shout out to everybody that is really doing a lot of the things that we talked about today, being consistent, the attention to detail, you really care about the craft. So if you're doing it that way, man, hopefully you're making some progress. Is there any last things that you feel like that you should say to the folks that are trying to make it, no matter what they do, whether they producers, artists? Any last tips, tricks, suggestions?
Just care about what you do.
Mm.
Care about what you do. And I think I just want to end it with that, man. Just care about your craft, because I'm sure you've got fucked over. I'm sure you've been done wrong. Care about your craft and make sure you're doing right by people in this business.
There it
Because
is.
those type of things last a long time.
Dope. Well, Chuck, man, I appreciate you. If you don't mind sticking around once I close this out so we
Yeah.
can chop it up for just a second.
Sure.
This has been another episode of Two Lost Office Hours. Tons of gems dropped during this hour. Next week, Nyla's trying to stun on me. She's bringing in, she's not, I mean, Chuck is a big dog to me, but Nyla's bringing in her big dog. She's bringing in Cortez Bryant. He'll be on next Monday. Two Lost
Bro,
Office Hours. Not Nyla trying to bring in the big dogs, but she's doing her thing. So we appreciate having Nyla. Chuck, man.
do we appreciate her stunting on me? Damn, Nyla. Come on, man. Nah, shouts out to Nyla.
No, all these conversations have been amazing. Like I said, it's a lot of for the young folks that are open and willing to receive some game. There's so much knowledge that people like Chuck have. So I would really have my eyes and ears open, when he's on these platforms, when he's talking. Make sure you follow him at Chuck Dizzle on Instagram. I believe it's Chuck Dizzle everywhere, right?
Yep.
Make sure you follow him. Yeah. I mean, you can learn so much by following the right people. So stop following the fights, and the drama and the shade room and all that other stuff, and just tap in, because that stuff seeps into your brain. When you start to scroll, you might, even if you don't watch the whole video, as you scroll, and if you following the wrong things, that's gonna seep into your day and into your thoughts and your feelings. So make sure you're following the right folks. But this has been another episode of Two Lost Office Hours. We'll be back next Monday, 12 p.m. Lock in some wins. Share your wins for Share Your Wins Wednesday. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.